Hey guys, I have Jayden with me here on the couch.
Hey.
Thanks for joining me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's very weird being on the other side of this, I have to say.
It is a bit strange. Well, you just interviewed myself and Dan,
Yeah.
who works behind the camera a lot.
Yeah.
And it was very weird for me to actually have to answer questions and not ask the questions.
and now, to be fair, the roles are now reversed.
Yeah.
So now I'm in this situation where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to
you're
now
on
answer
the spot.
questions. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, tell us, you do a YouTube show. Tell
Yes.
us a bit about it and how you got into it.
Well, so I guess, it's called the Creators Process, and I started this channel, well, it's coming to now 2 years from in June. I started this YouTube series where I call it my COVID project. So during the first lockdown, when all this was still new and the arts community had to take a sudden stop, like everything just suddenly just stopped. And I just was like, I needed to figure out a way to help out our community, to help push more creatives, to promote them more. So I then started doing a lot of Instagram lives on my Instagram account, and everyone really enjoyed that. And then I had a couple of people approach me saying, have you thought of, maybe doing a bit more, going into doing a YouTube series and all that? I'm like, I'm not sure, cause I was kind of on the fence going, I'm not sure, I don't know if I will be able to, because, obviously we're in lockdown and all that. And then I sat on it a lot more and I thought about it a lot more, and I'm like, well, actually this might be a really good way to help promote our amazing community. And because there were so many, as you know, so many creatives out there who don't get the spotlight enough. And so for me, I was like, I want to do this. And, I originally was going to call this series The Creative Process. But for me, I was thinking about it. I love the flow of it, but for me, it sounded like there was just one process. So saying the creative, I'm like, it sounded like that there was only one, but then I was like, no, there's multiple. So then I decided to change the creative to the creators, because it's about who I'm talking to at the time on the couch. So then birthed the Creators Process. And so between that 1 month we had free, I interviewed a few people, and then we went back into lockdown. And then I recorded, I edited the videos, started the YouTube channel, and then released an episode. I think it was every week or every 2 weeks, and everyone loved it. Everyone was actually messaging me saying, hey, have you thought of this person? Have you decided to do more videos? And I'm like, oh wow, okay, everyone's loving it. And I was like, I was really flattered to see that everyone wanted to see more of it. And then now nearly 2 years on, and I'm still going. We're about to celebrate the 100th episode, which is, I still can't believe, over 100 episodes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a lot for 2 years.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of interviews.
Yeah, no, it's I guess, I think we were talking about it when I was interviewing you, just the whole idea of, I don't want to go half in, half out. I want to either be fully committed to what I want to do and my idea, or just not do it at all. Because I feel like when you're passionate about something and you really want to help out creatives during this time, you should be fully in and dedicating that time to do it. And, for me, it's such an important aspect, supporting creatives during this time, because it's unfortunately, we haven't had that much support through, the arts and all that sort of thing. So for me, I wanted to create a space where I was talking to photographers, I've talked to performers, artists, models, actors, makeup artists, because, I didn't want to just stick to the one art form, because I felt like all the art forms stem off each other. You have the photographers who photograph the models, and then you have the models photographing, getting drawn by artists, and then the artists who, go to Comic Cons to help promote their artwork. So for me, I couldn't just do the one art form. So I wanted to focus on the art community as a whole, and the people who are passionate with creating at the end of the day.
Yeah, because everyone has a story. Everyone's a great story why they're there, and
absolutely
part of the art community and
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and I think it's like everyone, as you said, everyone has a story to tell. And, you know, for me, I wanted to create a safe platform where people can talk about what they do. And, you know, I think one of the best things one of the best experiences for me is just hearing about people's passions and just seeing the enthusiasm in their voice talking about what they do. And then also getting the messages, I think getting messages back saying, you know, oh, look, I really enjoyed doing this. I felt so much better about myself as a creative. And I'm like, you know what, I'm glad to hear that, because for me, like, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say, because, you know, your work is incredible. I want people to see that.
Yeah.
And because it's all about, like I explained to some of the chain reaction, like, you know, if you share one person's work, then, you know, that person might share their work with someone else, and then it starts this whole chain reaction where more people will then view others' work. And, you know, it has happened. Like, I've had people come to me saying, oh, I didn't know anything about this person. And now I'm like following them. You know, I've actually been really fixated on their work, and, you know, because it's the chain reaction of helping and supporting each other. So I think awesome. I just wanted to create that this channel to help support creatives through this time.
Well, over all these episodes, are there any like highlights or someone who really stood out, or moments that really you look back and go, that was an amazing interview?
I think it is so hard to pinpoint one, because I've enjoyed every single one that I've done. But, you know, like, I've always appreciated that, like, I've made people comfortable enough to talk about some of their struggles. Like, you know, I've had some people open up about, like, some personal stories about what they've gone through, which has led them to be a creative. And I've actually had times where I've ended in tears, because, like, just their stories are just so touching. And, you know, so for me, I've just been more than honored to hear about, like, what, you know, that side of the story, because, you know, it's such a personal struggle or personal trauma that person might have gone through. And it was I've had a couple of times where I've had those moments where it's just been so emotional, and, like, it's just been, I felt really honored to hear about that. And so for me, and, like, I've actually had episodes where you see the both of us hug each other, because I was just like, no, I just thought that was just amazing, you know. And I'm so glad that I was able to create this safe space for someone to open up about stuff like that. And so I think for me, it's really hard for me to pinpoint one episode, because all of them mean so much to me. Like, every episode I've been able to film, I've had so many people open up about so many things, and I feel honored that I've been able to create that safe space where people can open up. Yeah,
that's awesome that people feel comfortable to sort of express how they feel to you, and
I think it's also because they feel like they're not heard. Like, and, you know,
I mean, it's you coming in, and you want to hear their story, and they can just tell you and release.
And just not feel judged. Like, you know, I think that's the other thing, is that some people feel like that they're going to be judged for what they've gone through, or, you know, why they do what they do. And it's like, no, you know, I want to create a judgmental free zone, because I want to make sure that person feels like comfortable to talk about what they do, and, you know, have a very supportive community around them watching the episode and going, no, actually, we hear you, you know, and I want to come and support you on that creative journey, and I want to go and see you perform. I want to go and hear your music. And I think it's so important to sometimes listen, you know. And I think that's the other thing, is just listening. Like, there's a lot of strength in just listening to someone speak, because I think sometimes we as people have the you know, we think that, oh, we always have to say something and always have to say a response. But sometimes it's just good to listen, you know, just good to listen to what someone is feeling and how someone works with their process and all that. And sometimes, you know, and so for me, it's like, I guess in a way I wanted to, coming from a personal background of, you know, sometimes feeling like I was never heard. You know, I had so many traumas that I had gone through as growing up, and I felt like I was never heard. And so for me, I wanted to make sure that I created a space where people were heard. I wasn't going to take that approach going, well, oh no, I never got that, so why should anyone else get it? I'm like, no, actually, I want to do the opposite. I want to, like, just because I didn't get it doesn't mean anyone else should feel like that, because I don't want people to feel the way I did, because it's not a nice feeling to, you know, have a space where you can't feel like, you know, and it's taken me until my mid-20s to finally find that space where I feel like people do accept me for me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to create a space where people can feel like that as well, where they can feel safe and feel like they're at home talking. Yeah.
Well, whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up in the countryside down southeast of Melbourne, so a very small town. Really didn't fit in much with high school. I didn't like it, you know, I think, but then to be honest, whose high school days were that great?
A bit of an outsider sort of.
Yeah, no, I was always a bit of a different, like I can still remember being like the artsy guy, like, and always being creative with one of my other mates who I've known for like nearly 11 years, just creating art. And we would always talk about ideas that we had for, like, you know, being creative, doing music. But then unfortunately that made us stand out. Like, a lot of people just like to be cruel. A lot of people love to be, you know, target us and all that. And so that was always a hard thing. And then I moved to Melbourne when I was 19, and I then went to university, and unfortunately my things didn't change. Like, I think I was pretty much because of just people didn't like me for what I created content wise, like, you know, and I feel like my content for even my photography has always been the same as it ever has been. And so unfortunately they didn't like me for that, and so I was cast to the side because I honestly, still to this day, I didn't know why, and it was really lonely. Like, for 3 years I was walking down hallways where people just ignore me, you know, and it's just I felt like I was back in high school. And so when I tried to when I left university and I started my own journey, I wanted to make sure that I'd never made anyone feel like that, because, like, it's just a very lonely feeling just going from a small town to being an outsider in a small town, then becoming an outsider at university and it's just like, I think for me it's always been part of my mindset of going, I don't want to let anyone feel the way I did, because it's just not a great feeling of feeling lonely, not heard,
isolated,
and so that's just
And how did that change? Like, what was the thing that sort of turned?
I guess, you know, in 2000, like, I was in Germany from 2017 to 2018 for a couple of personal reasons, and I just needed a bit of a break from everything in Australia and all that. I had a few issues going on, so I moved to Germany for a year, and then I came back and I actually felt really refreshed, and I decided to pick up the camera again for the first time in nearly a few months. And so I then decided to get into photography, and then a year later I decided to start modeling, and then a year after that, it was kind of funny, everything came a year after one another. And then I started the Creators Process, where I felt really at home in a community that just accepted me for me. And I think that really did help me come out of this, like, little shell that I had been so comfortable with being in, that I was ready to go, you know what, like, I feel very safe around these people that I've met, these creatives who appreciate what I do. And, you know, like, some days I've actually been at home and, you know, I've just looked at, you know, pictures of some of the friends I've made and some of the people who I've interviewed who are now my friends, who've become a family to me, and I get very happy tears coming through my eyes, because I'm like, you know, because for ages I've been looking for that sort of at home family feel. And so for me, that was definitely one of the best things for me, and that's what changed my mind when it came to, you know, just wanting to create a safe space for people and creating a safe space where people can open up about what they do. Yeah. And so I think that for me was really important.
Yeah. I feel like we're very alike, because I think sort of you're sort of create this project to sort of reach out to people who are the same as you, because you felt sort of isolated in the past, and I sort of had a sort of my upbringing was sort of the same. I went to sort of a school that was very sports oriented sort of school, and obviously I'm not a sports person. I was arty person as well, and so I think it's this. You do the same. You're doing this for the same reason I sort of do, is to reach out to people who have that sort of common interest and that community.
It definitely is really hard, like, as you were saying, like, growing up in, like, because there was a lot of sporty kids at my high school as well, where pretty much they were kind of like, I guess you could say, the jocks and all that sort of thing. But then here I am is just with, I can still remember I used to take my photos on one of these small little cameras, and I'm just here printing off these weird pictures of, like, self-portraits of myself, and then I'm ripping it up and then drawing on it just to create this portrait, like a self-portrait of how, like, you know, of the struggles of, you know, being human and all that sort of thing. And people would just look at it going, what are you doing? And I'm like, you know, I guess, you know, it's always interesting to see that. And, you know, like, unfortunately I didn't really have that much support as well from teachers. You know, like, my careers teacher pretty much said to me, because I was more of the artsy, as you said, you know, being an artsy person, sometimes it struggled in other subjects. So my careers teacher was like, to my mum saying, yeah, Jayden best just leave and get an apprenticeship. So pretty much didn't want to help me, just kind of said maybe he should decide on leaving, because they were a school that expected high education system and all that, like success rate and all that. So it was like that they thought I was going to take away from that. And so that was a bit of a heartbreak feel. And then getting into university, then pretty much got told towards the end of my university studies, saying that I was nearly never chosen to be at the university because of where I was from. So I was from a small town country, and they nearly didn't choose me because of that. And I was just like, why should that matter? At the end of the day, like, it should be about what you create at the end of the day. And so for me, I had a lot of people who unfortunately doubted that I would do anything.
So you didn't have the support that you should have.
Nah, not really.
Had back in it when you were in that period of your life.
Yeah, no, I didn't really have much of.
What about your family? Like, are they supportive or?
I do have a couple of members of my family who are amazingly supportive through everything that I've done. Like, I've even had a couple who unfortunately haven't really had the same support, like, and don't really speak much to them, unfortunately, because of a lot of personal reasons and all that sort of thing. And because they didn't really, like, at the start they were saying, oh, you need to get a full-time job, you need to do this, you need to give it up, you need to stop this fantasy and all that sort of thing. And so that was a bit of a struggle, because, you know, as a parent, you would hope that your parents would support you with what you do and all that sort of thing. And so it's kind of like, it was a bit of a struggle. It was a bit of a, you know, so I had to stick to my, I guess you could say, stick to my guns and go, you know what? No, I want this. This is something I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. So in a way, I feel like it actually drove me to be more persistent, drove me to keep going with what I do, because I wanted to show that, you know, I want to do this. You know, I've never thought of anything else. Doing the 9 to 5 office hours is not me. Yeah. Doing, like, a job where I have to be in an office or where I have to do those sort of things, no, I don't think that's never been me. Like, I can't see myself doing this. This is what I want to do. You know, I want to give support to people as well, you know, so I've always wanted to be someone who supports people. And so, so it was really hard for a while to find that support. And even from past relationships with girlfriends and all that, I was with someone for 5 years who didn't understand and pretty much said what I did was easy. Me being a creative, it was easy. And then would kind of like, every chance got belittled me to say that I was like dumb, because apparently they were this engineer who knew all this stuff, and apparently I was insuperior and all that sort of thing. But I'm really happy that now I'm in a relationship with someone for nearly 3 years who is an absolute amazing woman, who honestly, ever since I started, because she's been here since I started the Creators Process, and she drives me to keep going and keep being creative, which honestly, I don't think you can ask anything more in a partner. And I think to have her as my life partner, have her as someone who has been there since day one and doesn't care that I, you know, at the end of the day, I don't make like triple figures, or I don't make all these big numbers and all that, like my past ex was more concerned about. She's just
how much
how much I enjoy and how much I love creating, and you know, she loves seeing that drive in me, and you know, for me, I'm grateful for that, and so I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, you found a good person there.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely, and it's definitely been a journey, but it's like, but you know, as I always say to people, it's like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. You know, it's about the road that we take, and you know, I don't think I wouldn't be here if those things wouldn't happen, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go through those hardships to sort of get to to a good place, to learn from your past.
Absolutely. And you know, I always think it's interesting, that question of when people say, or if you could change anything that has happened to you, what would you change? Because for me, my answer would be nothing, because I wouldn't want to change anything, because I guess you could have that idea of that. I believe in the whole butterfly effect thing. Like, if you change the one little thing, you might not be in the same situation you are. So for me, I just would not want to change anything, because I think that if I did, I mean, who knows where I'd be? You know, I don't know what would have been different, what would have changed. So, you know, for me, I'm glad that obviously it wasn't great, me struggling through those things, but for me, I'm glad that it led me to here, because who knows, the Creators Process might have not even existed at the end of the day. So for me, I am trying to be thankful for every day that I'm here and doing what I do.
You appreciate now more.
Yeah.
Because you've gone through that hard time, and now you sort of, you go, oh, well, this is why that's happened, because I'm here now, and I found someone awesome, and I've got, you know, this project I'm doing, and meeting all these cool people that I'm talking to, and I mean, so you know, it's a good path that you're on now.
Definitely, and honestly, I'm like already still filming more episodes every day, as we were saying that we've filmed your episode that I did with yourself and Dan, and it was, I get to meet so many amazing people and amazing creatives, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds. Like, I think for me, a future dream I've said to a couple of people is I would love to take the Creators Process interstate to different states, because I would love to, I follow a lot of creatives around Australia, so I would love to hear about their process as well and support them in their creative endeavors, and you know, like showing that, you know, that they're worth something, because you know, I think that's the other thing as creators, as you could probably imagine, is self-worth. That sometimes it's hard for creatives to have self-worth in what they do, and you know, for me, I want to be here and say, you know what, no, you do have worth. You do have worth in what you do. You do have, you are heard, you know. And so for me, I want to keep on that journey to help creatives see that, you know, they are worth something.
I think a lot of creative people have tragic sort of backstories where things happen, like there's pain, and that's why people create stuff and why they
Absolutely.
sort of do what they do. It's not the easy path.
Oh, it isn't.
That's why it's interesting to talk to other people who do whatever, do like work in film or in art, and yeah, it's very unique and
yeah. It's like, as we were saying before, everyone has a story to tell and everyone has had their trials of life, but you know, it's I think it's also the way that, you know, I grew up with a lot of with a family member, unfortunately, who would do the attitude of a always victimize themselves, unfortunately. But for me, like, I tell people I'm a survivor, not a victim. So for me, the thing, like, I don't want to sit around and just blame everyone for what I've gone through. For me, I have survived things, you know, I've gone through things, but for me, I'm not going to try and let that dictate how my life is going to be going now. So for me, I will see it as a survivor.
Yeah.
You know, I've struggled through hard times, but you know, at the end of the day, it's made me who I am today. And I'm going to take that and create, in a way, positive fuel to drive to create.
Exactly, yeah. That's a great way of looking at it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way I would say it.
So with your creator process, what I know you want to go interstate and go, you know, all around Australia. But what would be the next sort of goal that you have? Is there somewhere else you want to take the project?
Worldwide.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Like, if I had the funds to do it, if I had the money, I would. Because like I said, I know a lot of creatives even around the world who actually, which is amazing, that follow this series. Like I said, I still can't believe that I have people who follow this series, and some of them are in different countries as well as different states, which I think is amazing. And I think that I'm so flattered that so many people have been enjoying the series. And so for me, I'd love to take this around the world and meet so many amazing creatives and talk, you know, to so many people about how they create art, because, you know, as they say, people create art differently at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that would be my main goal.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, I mean, I hope you get there one day and just keep going with it. And
thank you very much.
And yeah, no, you interviewed us, and you know, you're a good interviewer. And
thank you. Thank you.
And I mean, I know you did say after our interview that was the worst episode that you've ever done, but that's okay. Well, I understand.
What? Oh, no.
I'm just joking.
No. I enjoyed every moment of it, so thank you for that.
It was fun. And thanks for coming on, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future, and keep on that path, man, and that positive path that you sort of you paid for yourself through past downs and all things that have happened.
Well, thank you for creating, a space for me to talk about this. You know, I think I'm really flattered that you guys have me on your channel as well. So thank you so much.
That's no problem, man. Hope you have enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It was great.
Cool. All right. Well,
thank you.
All right.
See ya.